Ooh, hello. Here we go, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to New Life Poetry. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Can you guys give me a hashtag live, hashtag replay if you guys are catching this replay? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. So today on this broadcast, I got my millionaire mentor, Darren Little. And this is going to be exciting, guys. So I'm glad you guys are tuning in. I appreciate you guys. And God bless everyone for tuning in. So we can get started. How you doing tonight, Darren?
I'm doing fantastic, Pierre. How about yourself?
Good, man.
Good.
Okay. Here we go, man. So tell the audience a little bit about your story, man, and how you started in entrepreneurship and what was your challenges and stuff.
Okay, cool. I actually started as an entrepreneur when I was in my early 20s. It was actually I opened up an advertising agency when I graduated from design school, and that was my first sample of going all in on your dream, and I ended up losing everything. At the end of the day, I came in just when we were coming out of the gate, right? And we finished our renovations, and I hired all my crew and everything else. It was probably about maybe 11 months after that, right, when I started bringing in these large accounts, right? $250,000, $500,000 large accounts. There was an article that ran in the major newspapers that said advertisers buckle up, recession hits, and it was in like the late 80s that I did that, and you know what I mean? I think you got to just kind of brush off the dust and jump back on the horse and go for another ride. But what a journey that one was, let me tell you.
Ooh. And I got a question for you though. What's the difference between a heart-centered leader and an ego-centered leader? Because I know that you really care about the people that you work with and your business partners, and you really cultivate on building relationships. So what's the difference?
Well, the heart-centered leader typically makes personal sacrifices for the team, okay? They typically do all the testing at their own expense. They create all the marketing materials, anything that the team needs to, elevate everybody into money, right? The ego-centered leader is only cares about lining their own pockets. So what they typically do is they try to get people to take out business loans, even when they can't afford it. All they want to do is get them approved. And then they brag about it on their wall, like, "Oh, look, I got another approval for this business loan."
Right.
And all they want is the commission, right?
Yep.
And it's typically high ticket. So maybe they make 15, 20 grand, but that new person is like dust on the side of the road. They're already on to another transaction. They're not concerned about whether or not that person actually even gets their money back, or how they're going to pay the loan back.
Right.
All they're concerned about is doing this in the marketplace to broadcast how much money they're making. And it typically, they typically go for the fast money, which is in majority of cases, they're scams. And they get in and they get out and they move on to another one. So while all these people are in these massive business loans, they've already moved on to another opportunity. It's very sad. It's created a very bad vibe for our whole energy. We all suffer from it, all of us, because of some of these people that are out there. It's very sad. Very sad.
Can you hear me, Darren?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it looks like
I froze up though. Yeah, but what led you to becoming a heart-centered leader? What led you to what led you to becoming a heart-centered leader? What really?
It was through my very first millionaire mentors. I started with my first millionaire mentor when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And what they kind of, when you hear something over and over and over and over, especially when you're at a young age, it kind of gets drilled into you, like to be part of your DNA almost. And what they said was that, Darren, you can't judge your success in our industry by your own personal income. It's about how many people that you have on your team that you've lifted up and taken to freedom and given wings, right? So in the event that you're the only person on your team that's making money, then you failed. You failed in our industry. And that's that they said it so many times over and over and over and over that, that was the foundation of what I started with when I first started, right? And you just kind of build on that. So, the first goal in anything that you market is to get an income story, right? But then you got to take the focus off of that and then put it onto the team, and then help to rise the people and lift the people up, right?
Yes. So, what would you say is your biggest challenge when you start in the field of mentoring people? What's your biggest challenge?
I would say that the biggest challenge is getting people to just surrender their pride and their ego.
Yeah.
Because the ego wants to keep a person safe, right?
Yeah.
So anything that's outside of the programming that they already have is the ego is going to consider that as being the danger zone. Okay.
Right.
And typically as human beings, we want to avoid danger. So they, if a person isn't coachable, it typically means that they just haven't surrendered their pride and their ego.
Right.
So typically what ends up happening is that they do a lot of activity. Like they're busy, they're really, really busy, but it doesn't produce any income. Okay. And typically people get into business because they want to make money. I mean, that's normally why a person starts a business. The challenge is that in the event that you hear something from your mentor and they go, oh yeah, that sounds good, but I'm going to try this other thing, right? Oh, you better watch me go. You better watch me go. Those are typically the broke people. Okay.
Yeah.
The people that just literally follow the bouncing ball, like I was saying to you earlier, my son is 20 years old, and he, says, "Dad, what do I do?" And I said, "Do these things." Okay, and he went and did them, and he made almost $14,000 his very first 30 days in business, right? Only because he's coachable, right? In the event that he said, "Oh no, okay, I got that, but I want to try this other thing," right? Then he wouldn't have gotten the results. Right. But he just followed exactly what I told him to do. And, he didn't know any different. He didn't know that it wasn't the right thing. So he just did exactly what I told him to do and made almost $14,000 his very first month. Right. So that's really I would say, out of all the things, that's the biggest challenge in mentorship.
Okay. So, how important is it to outsource as an affiliate marketer in order to maximize your time and your strengths?
Well, you got to understand the basics of what needs to be done in order to outsource in the first place, right?
Right. The basics, yeah.
In the fastest way to do that is in mentorship, because the mentor can at least give you the things that need to be done. And then in the event you say, "Oh, I'm not a technical person," then you can outsource that part. But as long as you know what the actual steps are to do, then you can outsource. But if you don't even know what the steps are, then you got a problem. You got a little bit of problem, right?
Right. So what are the steps?
Well, as an example, the number one goal in our industry, whether you're in online marketing, affiliate marketing, direct sales, or MLM, is to build a list of qualified buyers, right? That is your goal, right? So you got to understand what's involved in that process, right? How do you position yourself in the marketplace as a leader? Because it's a leadership business model. And you don't need an income story to do leadership activities or to step into leadership, but you've got to just step into your personal power, basically. Like an interview like this, as an example, doesn't require an income story. It just requires you to move into action and do the actual steps, right? Or running a campaign. You don't have to have an income story to run a campaign. You can always leverage off, your mentor's income story, or some of the top students' income stories, the top performers in your company. Any company, doesn't matter, right? So that doesn't require an income story, but it does require you to step into leadership, as an example. Those are just a couple of examples of what I'm talking about.
Okay. So Darren, what would you tell people to do if they're in a tight spot financially because of the COVID situation? Like, what would you tell people? What steps would you tell them to take to kind of change their life? Like,
well,
the
the whole concept of when people say that they don't have any money is an illusion. Okay. When a person says that they have no money, what they're saying is that they've given up their personal power, right? And as an example, when I got first started in this industry, it cost me $4,000 to start with my very first millionaire mentor. And if you project that forward like 3 decades, right, it's about 15,000 today, right?
Wow.
And I didn't have the money. But what I did have was I had a dream. Okay. And when you have a dream, then all the obstacles will move away, because that's when you step into your personal power. Right. So, but I didn't have the money to get started. I had maybe like $1,200 in my bank, in my savings account. So, and my millionaire mentor only gave me 3 days to come up with the money. So I drained my bank account to zero. I had to surrender my pride and my ego and go to my parents and see if they would give me some. They gave me what I put in, right, which didn't still make the grade. And then I had to go pitch the bank manager on my dream to go get a bank loan. So I went like all in on my dream to get started. So it's like I've got one student that was completely homeless. Okay, he didn't even have enough money for rent, right? So it's not about whether or not you physically have the money. What's important is that you haven't given up your personal power. Because somebody that's a silent partner, right, or an investor, what they invest in is they invest in vision, and they invest in personal power. Okay? So nobody will invest in a victim. Just so you know.
That's true.
Nobody will invest in the powerless one, right? Oh, you're not raising any money doing that. Right? So very, very important. Like I've had situations where I've rolled out a company of my own, and just to purchase the domain name cost 1.1 million, right? Plus another $6 million for working capital, and I didn't have the money. Okay, but I had a dream, I had vision, and I had personal power, and I went and raised it. Right. So it's not about the dollar amount, it's about the level of personal power that you have. Because let me just give you an example.
Okay.
I was working on this one roll-up, this one campaign, this one time, and I had talked to this one gentleman in the morning prior to one of my webinars. Okay. Now, his story in the morning was that he was a single dad, that he was so broke that he didn't know where he was going to find the money to feed him and his daughter for the next 24 hours. Okay. That was the story in the morning. But once he caught the vision of the direction and how fast he could make money, within 48 hours after that, he raised $10,000. And I want you to think about this. So the morning prior to the webinar, his words were that he was completely flat broke. Okay. He didn't know where he was going to get money to be able to feed him and his daughter for the next 24 hours. Right. And in the evening, after the webinar, 48 hours later, he raised $10,000. $100,000. So what does that tell you? That means he didn't give up his personal power, right? All he needed was something to light the fire, to ignite his personal power inside, and then bam, he came right out of the gate, right?
So you answered that one for me. What's the difference between a quality relationship online and a non-quality one? Like when you're actually building true relationships online and you're actually trying to cultivate a real relationship to get for them to know, like, and trust you. What does it look like?
Okay, so it's no different than real life, right?
Right.
So if you think about what a relationship would be for you in real life, there's a high probability that you actually have real conversations, right, with the person. Like you
Right.
reach out, you touch base, say a quick hello, you find out what's going on in their life, and you get a chance to get to a connection, right?
Yep.
And what were the biggest sort of blocker, the blocker that people have is they don't really understand the power of the internet. What the internet does is it reaches you out globally, okay, all around the whole world, right? But the reason that people don't make any money, especially if they're in a team building type of business model, is that they hide behind their computer all day, right? The people that make big money, they do a lot of this stuff. So they do a lot of, this, they do a lot of, FaceTime or Facebook
Yeah.
Messenger phone,
Mhm.
Zoom. This could be an avenue where you could actually have a conversation with another person, or Skype, right?
Mhm.
That's just regular life. That's like going out for dinner, going out for coffee, going out for a couple of drinks with somebody, and you just get a chance to, like, have a few laughs, tell a few stories, and get to connection, right? That's really the key, is that if you look at the internet, your computer screen as a window, it's like it's a window all the way around the world to be able to reach out and shake another person's hand,
Okay. Yeah.
right? But in the event that you hide behind your computer all day, it's kind of like self-sabotaging your own success, right? And that's typically why you will see top leaders that are 7-figure income earners or 8-figure income earners. They do a lot of value where they are in groups. Okay, it could be a group on Zoom, a group on Webinar Jam, a group on any type of platform that will host a lot of people, and you'll typically see them broadcasting their message to groups of people, and they can interact with all those people. And then the people that are really connected with the message, or that connected with the vision, those people will typically reach out afterwards, after the Zoom broadcast, and then the leader typically will just keep the process going, right? And then maybe meet them one-on-one for a private call on Zoom or Skype or FaceTime or whatever. This right here is how you hit the big numbers, right? Is the relationships.
Oh, okay. So let me get to the comments section real quick. Oh, Ryan, thank you for tuning in. Let me know where you're tuning in from, Ryan, man. Appreciate you. Here we go. Hey, Darren from Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, what's going on?
Ryan again. Hashtag live. Lawrence, how you doing, man? Play the long game, he
Yeah,
said.
so that's kind of that Lawrence has made actually a very good point, right?
Yeah.
People typically, when they get into our industry, what they're looking for is they're looking for instant gratification, right? So what that does is they go into just pitching all the time, spam, 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 spamming links into chat, spamming links into groups. They don't understand the concept of what our industry is even about. They don't get it. So, relationships, even if you look at somebody that you're dating, or that you dated prior to getting married, or that you dated before you went out and introduced that person as your girlfriend, right? Or your boyfriend,
Right.
whatever. It typically takes multiple dates or multiple connections, a movie, dinner, going for a hike, going for some sporting event, it's a process. It doesn't happen like you don't just meet somebody and boom, oh hey, I'd like to introduce you to my girlfriend, right? It doesn't work that way,
right? Again, Kirsten Graham, she says they are scams and it is so wrong and short-term success. I talked to her earlier today. Angeline
from New York.
Love that. Here we go. She says, truth. Have a great night. Truth be told.
Sounds great.
Okay, here we go. Hold on. Oh, what domain name? I find this so interesting. I don't know what she means by that.
I'm not sure what she means.
Austria. Sharon.
Australia.
Australia, I mean. Thank you. Here you go. Kara B.
What's going on, Kara?
Okay. So how can you shorten your learning curve? You think, Darren? How can you shorten your learning curve? When
there's a couple of things. The first thing is that you have to make a commitment to, like, when you start any business that you're in, right? You got to start off by doing some due diligence and to find out a little bit more about the people that are involved. People typically that are the scammers will just jump from one scam to the next scam to the next scam to the next scam.
Right.
Okay, so you got to do due diligence on the company that you're looking to get into. And then you've got to look to see whether or not you're dealing with a heart-centered leader or an ego-centered leader. Okay, so the way that you do that is, you want to find out, are they having success themselves? Okay, number one is the leader that's leading, are they having success? But number two is how many people on their team are having success. And there should be within that group a minimum of 5 rags to riches stories. Again, I'm not talking about other established marketers or people that have huge lists. I'm talking about the single mom. I'm talking about the blue collar workers. I'm talking about the kid that just graduated from high school, the person that went bankrupt or lost their job or, had health issues. And then all of a sudden they got into whatever the program is and bam, right? They came out of nowhere and went from 0 to 100 grand or 0 to $250,000 or 0 to $500,000. That's typically, the phases that you want to go through. So do a little bit of due diligence, find out who's involved, find out if they have any success, and then how many people that are brand new newbies, that have never marketed a day in their life, how many of those people are having success? That's really the key, right? But to fast track the process, you have to be on the path of personal development. It's mandatory, right? Our industry is actually a personal development leadership business model. So you've got to make a commitment to any type of direct sales company. You got to project forward for at least a year, right? So you got to make the long-term commitment, and you've got to focus at least 1 hour per day on personal development. And your mindset and your self-talk is either going to keep you in the game or out of the game. So that's why the personal development is so significant. But you got to be following an actual blueprint, right? Like, this is the difference between the big money earners and the no money earners. Okay, the big money earners typically have an actual blueprint, right? A blueprint for success. It's not just about what the company has or what the comp plan is, right? Anybody that's making big money in our industry, they have more than that. They have more than just the company. They have more than just the comp plan, more than just the products. So are those type of things in place to be able to help the little guy, right? The brand new person that doesn't know how to market, right? That's where the focus should be, is on the people that have never marketed a day in their life. When those people start
Yep.
having success,
Yep.
you got something to, that's, to
I,
take a further look at.
I agree. I agree. And how can someone that just gets started online do it effectively? Like succeed effectively when they start off? Like, what's the first step? What's the first step when somebody just come on online and they're like, you know what, I want to pick something, the right business to do? Like, what would you tell them? Be their
Well,
first.
the first thing that I would tell them is to take the focus off of whatever they think that they're marketing, right? Realize that the industry's leadership, right? So the true product is leadership. So that means that you're the actual product, right? You're the product, not your company, not your comp plan, not your business, not your products. The product is you. Okay. The product is you. So step one is to get yourself branded, right? Get yourself branded as a leader. In the event that you're using any type of social media requires you to have an actual audience. Okay, if you have no audience, you'll waste your time, you spin your wheels, and you get very, very frustrated because there won't be any engagement. If you have no engagement, right, then you don't have any opportunity to actually build relationships. So you need an audience. It's like the most important thing, right, after your branding. But then you've got to understand who's your market, who would be your perfect business partners, who are the qualified buyers that you want to be able to communicate with in your content, okay? And then what's the pain that they're going through? What's the pain that they're going through? Because in the event that you can provide, valuable content that will help them in some way, and then you have something that's going to help them to solve their problem, right? That's when you become the attractor factor.
Okay. What would you say if somebody came into the business and they were the problem? How do you fix that? How do you fix that?
I typically get them back on the path of personal development. So I
Yeah.
typically will have them, start off like with maybe Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Right.
I typically will call them on it.
I know that's true, and he does.
I just give them a call, right? It's like, hey Pierre, just want to touch base. I got one simple question for you. Are you coachable?
Right.
Are you coachable?
And that's true.
Right. So, I just go direct.
Serious.
Right now, in the event that they never show up. Okay. So in other words, if I'm doing millionaire mentoring,
Right.
but they never show up. Okay. They're never in the group. They don't interact in the group. They don't show up for training ever. Right. There's no engagement. That means that I want their dream for them more than they want it for themselves. Right. Then I'm out. Right. But if they show up, but they spin their wheels or they keep on showing up, the gauge is whether or not they show up. Right. If I'm going to actually make the call or not. But in the event that they consistently show up and they still don't get results, I make the call. In the event that it's crickets and they never ever show up, next, I'm easy to reach.
And that's a known fact. Like I called Darren the other day, and he actually sat on the phone with me for like 45 minutes. Like that's a heart-centered leader right there. Like, because you don't find people like that's going to hop on a phone call with you and actually be on a phone call with you. Actually want that cares about your success. That will actually stay on the phone call with you and talk to you for 45 minutes to see if you're coachable, see if you're going to follow the steps. And you know what? I didn't follow the steps on this one. So you know what? I got to start over again and make sure I get back on the right track.
But here's the thing about the whole process, Pierre, is that we as human beings, we already beat ourselves up, right?
Right.
It's part of the human condition that 80% of our self-talk every day is going to be negative. That's just the baseline, right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why the personal development is so important. But you can't beat yourself up for beating yourself up. then you got a double whammy, right? So
Oh, yeah.
you
Yeah.
just basically dust off the britches, and you pick up the bootstraps, and you get back on the horse, and you go for another round, right? So
Exactly.
it's all about how many times you're prepared to get back on the horse. So I've seen some people, and they have one conversation, or the person that they talk to, that they just reached out to say a quick hello, was just a real jerk, right? So then they go, okay, I'm done, I'm out. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. What are you talking about? Oh, this guy was just a real asshole. It's like, well, that's what the block button's for, you know?
Right. So in entrepreneurship, you can't really take things personal. Like you got to be able to like brush it off and keep going. And the Bible says, "A righteous man fall 7 times to get back up." But when the wicked people, when one thing's going to strike them and they're going to be out, they're never getting back up.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay, here we go. We got Rhonda. Hello, Pierre and Darren. Hello, Rhonda.
Hey, Rhonda.
Yeah, here we go. Mauricio from
Mauricio.
Colombia in the house. Awesome knowledge. Oh, here we go. Amber Dickinson. That's my problem. I have an opportunity to jump in on a new company, but scared it's too high price point product for my personal Facebook group. But no, you should get in at the beginning, right?
It's not, to answer your question on that, Amber, there's pros and cons to kind of both sides. Okay, so on the one side, you've got something that is like brand new. Okay, so nobody's heard about it. They call it the ground floor. Okay, the ground floor opportunity. That's not necessarily the best case scenario, because typically what ground floor means is there's no marketing materials, right? There's nothing to properly market the business with. And a good percentage of the time, the majority of direct sales MLM network marketing companies don't even make it past their first year, right? So some people that they love that, right? They deal with that front end zone, right? And for other people that have already been around the block in that zone for numbers of times over and over and over, they would much rather deal with a company that has stability, right? So they know that the company's not going anywhere, and there's already systems in place. There's marketing materials in place.
Right.
There's calls that you can plug into, right? There's already leaders that have, big income stories, and lots of, single moms and blue collar workers and whatnot that have income stories. So some people prefer that, right? The great thing about network marketing or direct sales is that it's really about the day that you start your business and what's best for you. Do you like the ground floor? Do you like that front end? Or do you prefer something that's been around that that you invest the time into, it's going to be around 3 years from now, right? There's the ground floor zone is pretty, it's like this. Oh, it's like typically what a lot of these companies do is they create some sort of a comp plan that is the big carrot, right? And they bring in all the people with the big carrot, and then right when they think that they're in a point in their liftoff where you become dispensable, okay, they don't care about you anymore. They know that when they change their comp plan, and all the leaders get what's called a haircut, so they 30 to 50% of their checks get wiped off the scale, they know that 50% of the people are going to be pissed off, and the other 50% aren't going to care. They're going
Right.
to pay. So they know that when they make those changes, they're going to lose some of their leaders. But they know that 50% of the people will stay, whether the leader leaves or not, right? And
Right.
that's what kind of makes the industry a little dirty, quite frankly, is that there's a lot of that going on out there. You know, the carrot dangling, they'll dangle the car program like the Bentley or the Lamborghini or the Mercedes Benz, and right when you're almost at the point of qualification, then they change the comp plan and they extend it to a higher amount, so the carrot's up further now, right? It happens all the time in our industry.
Mauricio, he said, "Amen. Buenos dias. Buenas noches."
What's going on, Mercio?
Personal development daily, Sharon says.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right, Darren, we're gonna wrap this up. So, one more question. Like, where do you see yourself in like the next 10 years?
Where do I see myself in 10 years? Traveling the world, working with my son, which I just started. He's 20, and so 10 years he'll be 30. And so I visualize that I'm, traveling around the world, making an impact, right, on tens of thousands of people all around the world.
Yep.
And making a difference on the planet. And I kind of have this vision to be able to flip the numbers from, right now it's at 97% is the failure rate. I'd like to see it 97% success rate with only a 3% failure rate, right? But in order for that to happen, right, people got to surrender their pride and their ego and be coachable.
Yep, and you're right. Amber Dickinson, she said, they have leaders doing Zooms and testimonials, but understand TY for your advice. Thank you for your advice.
I'm happy to help, Amber.
Okay. All right. What would be the steps for them to be able to work with me and you in a mentoring program? What would they have to do?
Well, it really has to do with whether or not, and I'll just share with you guys, if you're tuning into this particular broadcast, from over 3 decades of data, there's typically 2 types of people, 2 types that go from 0 to superhero. Okay, like 0 to 100 grand, 0 to $250,000, 0 to $500,000, 0 to $1 million, right? Only 2 types. Okay, so you got to ask yourself whether or not you're in a transitionary stage in your life, okay, state of transition, and whether or not you've hit a breaking point, okay, a breaking point. The combination of those 2, those people have the highest chance of succeeding to get to big numbers. So, in the event that you're in transitionary state right now, or you've reached the breaking point, or maybe your income has hit a cap, so you've got affiliate marketing or online marketing, but you can't get past like 10 grand, right? You can't get to 20, 30, 40, 50 grand, 70 grand, 100 grand in a month, right? Then you're ready to expand your mind. You're ready to grow. Okay. So, in the event that that's you, all you really need to do is to reach back out to you, Pierre, and then you can sort of ask them a few questions to see if they're qualified, right? Because not everybody's qualified to be a successful entrepreneur, guys. Just being honest, right? It really has to do with whether or not you're coachable and whether or not you can actually surrender your pride and your ego and just follow the bouncing ball like a paint by numbers set. It's typically the people that go, oh, yellow. Oh, I don't know if it should be yellow. I don't know. I don't know if it should be yellow. I think it should be blue. Those are the people that stay broke, right? But the people that go, one, yellow, okay, yellow, 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 yellow. Oh, two, oh, red, 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 red. Those are the people that succeed. So it really has to do with whether or not they're coachable and whether or not they're qualified, right? And you can find that out just by reaching out to Pierre.
Okay. So thank you, Darren, man. I really appreciate you for getting on this interview. Like I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I'm hyped. I feel good. Thank you. I really appreciate your time and your energy.
Absolutely. Happy to help, my friend.
I hope all you guys got value from this, and if you got a lot of value from this, just hit me up in Messenger. I'm always here to answer your questions or anything or talk to you guys about anything. And I just love all you guys. God bless y'all. In Jesus' name, I appreciate everybody. Thank you, Darren, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Happy to help. Happy to help.
All right, let's sign up out of here. I'm gone. Gone.